Kare Mwapenduka and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. I am Glenora Shipura. Here's what you can expect in today's broadcast. Woman sentenced to 25 years for Mmakau family murder. Nigerian court orders release of Binance executive after charges dropped. Chapo says Frelimo awaits results with calm and serenity. We'll also be talking to talent Gore, our correspondent from Zimbabwe, and she'll be filling us in on the latest news from there. Do stay tuned for this and more on Africa Good Morning.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
Getting into our top stories, the High Court in Pretoria has sentenced a Northwest woman convicted of conspiring with her cousins to kill her family in Mmakau to an effective 25 years imprisonment. 22-year-old Onatile Sebati, who was 16 years old at the time of committing the crime, paid her friends Tumelo Mokene and Kagiso Mokene 50,000 rand each to kill her parents, younger brother and her sister at the family's home in December 2016. Now her sister was pregnant at the time. Her co-accused, who are cousins, have each been sentenced to 4 life sentences each for murder. The National Prosecuting Authority Gauteng spokesperson Lumuka Mahanjana says the Pretoria High Court has sentenced a teenager who organized a hit on her family to 25 years of direct imprisonment, each for 4 counts of murder, 10 years for robbery with aggravating circumstances, 5 years for theft, 5 years for possession of a firearm, and an additional 5 years for possession of ammunition. Mahanjana says her 2 accomplices have each been sentenced to 4 life terms each for 4 counts of murder, 15 years each for robbery with aggravating circumstances, 5 years each for theft, 5 years each for possession of a firearm, and an additional 5 years each for possession of ammunition. The judge ordered that the sentences should run concurrently. Moving over to Nigeria, Nigerian court orders the release of Binance executive after charges dropped. A Nigerian court yesterday ordered the release of Binance executive Tigran Gabaryan after the government dropped money laundering charges against him to allow him to get medical treatment abroad. Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission withdrew the case against Gabaryan, a U.S. citizen and head of financial crime compliance at Binance, in open court in the capital city, Abuja. A lawyer for the EFCC said on Wednesday the EFCC said it will continue the money laundering case against Binance without Gabaryan. Gabaryan has been in detention in Nigeria since late February and held at Kuje prison. He was charged alongside Binance with laundering more than $35 million. Gabaryan and Binance denied the charges. Separate tax evasion charges against Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, remain in place. Binance has also denied these charges. We have withdrawn the money laundering charges against Tigran Gabaryan to allow him to get medical treatment outside the country, said EFCC lawyer Ekele Ebenacho. Ebenacho added diplomatic arrangements had also helped in securing Gabaryan's release without elaborating. In August, Gabaryan's wife, Yuki, said her husband's health had deteriorated in prison to the point where it might leave permanent damage and affect his ability to work. She asked for him to be freed and vowed to fight for his release. In our next story, we are moving over to Mozambique. Chapo says Frelimo awaits results with calm and serenity. Presidential candidate Daniel Chapo said yesterday that the Liberation Front of Mozambique, Frelimo, which supports him, awaits the announcement of the results of the general election by the official bodies with calm and serenity. As an organized, structured, mature party, a party that prepares and organizes its victories, we are currently from Ruvomo to Maputo waiting calmly and with serenity for the electoral agencies to announce the results, Chapo said during a meeting of the Association of Military and Paramilitary Disabled at the Frelimo Party School in Maputo Province. The Mozambican National Elections Commission will announce the results of the general election sometime today, which then have to be validated and proclaimed by the Constitutional Council, CNE spokesman Paulo Quinio told Lusa yesterday. Now, Quinica added that the announcement will take place at the Joaquim Chizano International Conference Center in Maputo at around 3 p.m. The CNE has 15 days to announce the official results of the vote on October 9th, a deadline that is fulfilled on October 24th. The Constitutional Council then proclaims the results after considering any objections, but without a specific deadline. At yesterday's meeting, Daniel Chapo insisted that he and the Frelimo party are waiting for the official disclosure of the results, noting that only later could the political formation that has ruled Mozambique since independence consider any eventual celebrations. We, on this day of the announcement of the results in respect of the electoral agencies, are that we will have our party, our calm and serenity, as a result of being a party of peace, harmony, an organized party, structured and mature, a party that organizes and prepares its victories, he added. Getting into our next story, nearly half of Africa's population faces worsening governance. Now, governance has worsened in nearly half of Africa's countries over the past decade, according to a new report. The annual Ibrahim Index of African Government reveals that security issues are undermining progress in many areas. While 33 countries have seen improvements, the overall situation in 21 others has declined, affecting almost half of Africa's population. Countries like Nigeria and Uganda have experienced a more significant drop in governance in the second half of the decade. Mo Ibrahim, founder of the Ibrahim Foundation, highlighted a growing arc of instability, pointing to the security and safety challenges as the main factors behind the decline. In an interview with Reuters, Ibrahim explained that poor governance, including corruption and marginalization, often fuels violence and conflict, as seen in recent coups in West Africa and the ongoing war in Sudan. However, there are positive signs in some areas. The report shows improvements in infrastructure such as mobile phone access and energy, as well as advances in women's equality. Now, health, education, and the business environment have also seen progress across the continent. Despite the gains, public perceptions remain negative. Many people feel that economic opportunities and safety have worsened, even when governance indicators show improvements. Ibrahim warned that rising public dissatisfaction could lead to unrest, increased migration, and more conflicts. The report suggests that these negative views might stem from higher expectations in countries that are making progress, as well as a focus on what is still not working. Nonetheless, Ibrahim stressed the importance of addressing public dissatisfaction to avoid further instability. 3 Somali migrants tortured to death by human traffickers in Libya. Activists reveals at least 3 Somali migrants tragically lost their lives in September and October while being held in warehouses and homes operated by human traffickers in Libya, according to human rights activist Tariq Lamlaum. Lamlaum shared the grim news in a statement to Ashraq al-Aswat, exposing the brutal conditions migrants face while in captivity. The activists revealed that the families of the victims were contracted by kidnapping gangs based in the city of Bani Walid. The families were sent disturbing videos showing their loved ones being tortured, further emphasizing the inhumane treatment migrants endure. It is clear from the clips they have received that the migrants are being held inside homes, Lamlam said. He pointed out that since 2019, there has been an alarming rise in the detention of migrants in urban areas. This shift followed tighter security measures against traffickers in desert regions, with authorities dismantling trafficking hubs in places like Kufra, Shuarif, and Tubrak. Lamlam urged local authorities and community leaders in Libyan cities to take stronger action to locate and rescue those held by traffickers. He stressed that every region knows its people who are involved in such gangs and human trafficking. The International Organization for Migration has previously reported 5,000 migrants held in official detention centers across Libya. That brings us to the end of our top stories. On the other side of the break, we talk to talent Gore, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Zimbabwe.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
We now cross over to Zimbabwe, speaking to talent Gore, who will be filling us in on the latest news from over there. Good morning, talent. Mamukase.
Good morning, Glenora, and after good morning.
Now, getting into talent's first story, President Mnangagwa congratulates Mozambique's Daniel Chapo for resounding victory. Can you get into this?
Yes, the Zimbabwean president, who is also the SADC chairperson, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, has already congratulated Mozambique's Daniel Chapo and the Frelimo party for a resounding victory. This is despite the fact that election results have not yet been announced by the Mozambique Electoral Commission, and this has actually shocked the Zimbabwean citizens who are saying that how can the president and the SADC chairperson actually congratulate a party and a presidential candidate for results that have not yet been announced. So right now people are just confused as to how and why President Emmerson Mnangagwa and the ZANU-PF party have already congratulated the Mozambique's Frelimo party and its candidate Daniel Chapo.
Now, moving over to your next story, a former Fidelity Printers top official has secured attachment of property belonging to news channel Al Jazeera after he was last year implicated in a documentary that sought to expose Zimbabwe's notorious gold smuggling syndicates. What are your thoughts on this story?
Yes, a former Fidelity Printers. Fidelity Printers is one of the biggest gold refineries in Zimbabwe, and one of its top officials was actually included in the gold mafia documentary earlier this year. And the victim, or rather Dube, claims that his reputation was tarnished and intends to file a 2 million lawsuit against the international media house, which is Al Jazeera. To this end, he actually approached the High Court seeking an order for attachment of the publication's property for purposes of confirming the jurisdiction of the court in a defamation claim he intends to institute against Al Jazeera. Justice Siyabona Msitu has actually granted Dube's request in a judgment handed down at the Harare courts. Apparently, the judge said that the case was of public interest and surely deserved to be tested in court to determine whether the allegations were true or not. He also said that the High Court has jurisdiction, and as such, Al Jazeera's property indeed could be held as request. The court has already noted that what differentiates the present matter from the authorities referred to by the council is the presence of the Beru in the country. So apparently, right now, the court has actually granted Dube's lawsuit. They are saying that they could and they are going to attach Al Jazeera's property, which is in Zimbabwe, for defamation of character, because the victim, or rather the respondent, Dube, is saying that he was not aware of his involvement in the documentary when it was released, and Al Jazeera acted out of character, and that is not what was supposed to happen, and they have fingered him in something that has actually tarnished his image in Zimbabwe. So he has taken Al Jazeera to court, apparently, the Al Jazeera representatives in Zimbabwe, and they are planning on suing them for 2 million United States dollars, and they're going to be attaching the Al Jazeera's property in the lawsuit. So we're just going to be monitoring the situation in the courts to see how it's going to go, because we all know that the gold mafia documentary made waves in Zimbabwe and in Africa, in Southern Africa to be precise, because of the allegations that were being said in that documentary. So this new twist, this plot is taking a new twist, and now people are interested to see how the courts in Zimbabwe are going to handle this situation, or rather this case.
Thank you so much, Talent, for bringing us these stories from the House of Stone.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure having a Talent Gore on Africa Good Morning. We now take a look at our weather predictions before we return with economic news. Getting into our economic news, Ethiopia's state-owned telecommunications company has started selling shares to the public in a move aimed at establishing a new national stock market and giving Ethiopians a stake in the company, one of the country's largest and most profitable. Ethio Telecom will be the first company listed on the new Ethiopian Securities Exchange, or ESX, which is set to begin operating in November. It will be the country's first stock market since the 1970s. Ethiopia Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said last Wednesday that the 130-year-old Ethio Telecom is offering 10% of its shares to the public, 100 million shares in all. Investors who must be Ethiopian nationals can buy up to 3,333 shares of the company for about $2.50 per share. CEO Frelimo Tamiru said the company will now be called Ethio Telecom PLC. He said offering the shares lays the groundwork for Ethiopia's stock market and expanding access to ownership in one of the nation's leading state-owned enterprises, which has now evolved into a share company. That concludes our economic news. Let's take a look at our financial indicators before we return with your sports news. Getting into our sports news, in tennis, Alexander Zverev, the top seed, reached a significant milestone by advancing to the quarterfinals of the Erste Bank Open, defeating Marcos Giron 6-2, 7-5 on Wednesday in Vienna, Austria. Zverev showcased his powerful serve with 10 aces and successfully converted all 3 of his break points during the match, which lasted 73 minutes. This victory marked his 61st singles win of the season, surpassing his previous career high from 2018. In the next round, he will face 6-seeded Italian Lorenzo Musetti, who advanced due to a walkover after Gael Monfils of France withdrew because of illness. Getting into our next story, Hansi Flick, the manager of Barcelona, expressed that their impressive 4-1 victory against Bayern Munich in the Champions League on Wednesday significantly boosted their confidence ahead of the highly anticipated La Liga Clásico against arch-rivals Real Madrid on Saturday. Flick, who previously managed Bayern, was thrilled to help Barcelona break a nearly decade-long winless streak against the German side, which he considers their toughest challenge this season. After suffering 6 consecutive defeats with a combined score of 22-4 against Bayern, including a crushing 8-2 loss in the Champions League quarterfinals 4 years ago, Barcelona turned the table with a stellar performance led by Brazilian captain Raphinha, who netted a hat-trick. Mikaela Shiffrin is ready to embrace the excitement surrounding her pursuit of history as she approaches the upcoming Alpine Ski World Cup season, aiming for her 100th race victory. The 2-time Olympic champion, who holds the record with 97 World Cup wins, will begin her season this weekend in Solden, Austria. As fans eagerly anticipate her potential milestone, the 29-year-old American shared that she has shifted her perspective on the accolades, recognizing that discussing her achievements can energize the sport. That concludes our sports news. We'll be right back after this. Let's take a look at today's highlights. Woman sentenced to 25 years for Mmakau family murder. Nigerian court orders release of Binance executives after charges dropped. Ethiopia begins selling stakes in state-owned companies. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining Africa Good Morning on this beautiful Thursday morning. From me, Glenn Orashipura. Until next time.